Okay, right. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker. She's an old friend of mine. She used to be the ex-Duclos world president before I knocked her off her throne. She's worked for UNICEF and also the youth, is the current youth ambassadors coordinator. She changed her phone number multiple times ever since she got caller ID to stop our late night conversation. So please give a warm welcome to Captain Duclos.
I'm actually excited about using a clicker because I've seen professors do it, but I've never actually tried. So it's a pleasure for me to be here today. If I can work the clicker.
No, that's not my fault.
Oh, I need to switch on. I'm not actually that old. I can usually do it. Just the red button, right?
Yeah. No, not the red one. The right.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fine. Okay. All right. So my presentation is about grassroots development reaching the poorest of the poor. Because just in the last two presentations, we've talked about different issues, and I do not want to discredit the work that is being done by aid relief organizations, by organizations that will target government policies and things like that, or environment. This is solely from a perspective of grassroots development. I've been acquainted with, I became acquainted with microfinance about a year ago, and I fell in love with the concept. So that's why I'm talking about it today. It's not only logical for the people on the ground, so the clients that we'll call them, for development, but also for the donors, making 1 + 1 = 3, and I'll talk about that a bit more later. So just a quick fact here for you, that's the people we're going to be speaking about today, the poorest of the working poor, earning $2 a day, sometimes only $1 a day, and that's a large chunk of the earth. So it's quite striking. I like to say that we've hit the geographic jackpot, and we're born in the right place, right? It's not because they were born in Colombia or in somewhere in Africa that, it's not that they're lazy, it's not that they don't work hard enough, they were born in a certain area, there are conditions that they have to live with, and these people are very, very driven. The clients that we've met, the clients that we've worked with, and that we're still working with, they're driven, they are proud to go forward and to help their families and to be independent, and not to have people telling them this is what you should do, but to have their own ideas and run with them and see them grow too. So I just wanted to start by asking you why you give or how you give, because obviously if we're here for a development conference, we hope that absolute poverty can be eradicated, and some of us might even firmly believe that it can be eradicated. So obviously that's one of the reasons why we're here. The U.S. nonprofit activity is about $900 billion of capital floating around every year. That's in North America, but also internationally. So if you think about that large amount of money circulating, helping, creating change, I still think it's hard to see that change, although, I mean, obviously it's going abroad as well, but we're still seeing poverty, we're still seeing people, children dying from diarrhea at age, 6 months, when there are things that can be done to avoid that. So when you spend money, when you invest money, you tend to do it with reason, intelligently, and I want to ask you to do that as well when you're giving money to charities, because you want to see change, you should expect change from the money you're investing in a way. I've been reading a book that I found really interesting. It's called The Billion Bootstraps by Smith and Thurman, the two authors. So in the book, they talk about the cost per life ratio. So it's the cost to change a person's life, but obviously there are factors to consider here, how long that change can take place. If you're buying a net for malaria, well, that you're changing a person's life or a family's life, but in a way, is that going to help them get out of poverty eventually? So those are things to consider. And as you would do with an investment, giving to charities can also be seen as an investment in a way. You can have high risks and little return, or unknown returns. You're not sure. You're giving money away, hoping something's gonna, be made of it, or you can, give and expect return, or know that change is being created on a daily basis. So imagine living in a society where every financial transaction is cash only. I think most of us probably wouldn't be here today. We probably wouldn't be getting a university degree if we had to pay for it cash. We probably wouldn't have houses or cars, or we probably wouldn't be dressed the way we are. So, as Thurman says in A Billion Bootstraps, many things cause poverty, but one common thread is that there's absolutely no access to capital in poor countries. Well, in some poor countries, let's not generalize. And without capital, the people and their societies have no chance to grow their businesses. So that's what microcredit is about. Who knows what microcredit is? Okay. And of you, who knew what microcredit was 5 years ago? Okay. So it's really boomed in the past 5 years. Although it's been operating, I guess, for several years. Now I work for Opportunity International that's been active for 40 years, so that's a long time for something that's now, being called something new. Obviously, it's taken more amplitude in the past years, but this is how it works. You give very, very low-income clients, the working poor, you give them small loans for a short amount of time, often 12 to 16 weeks, and they have frequent repayment of that loan so they can start or expand their businesses. So it's helping the working poor reach the first rung of that ladder that will often let them get into, I don't want to say the system because that's a negative connotation, but at a place where they can benefit from institutions that are there. And from that point, if institutions can be, improved, then it's really grassroots development from the bottom. For instance, reaching the first rung, it can be simply by having a loan to buy a cow and start a milking business where you sell milk, and then eventually you have borrow money to buy a second cow and things like that. So it's very basic. There's been controversy about microfinance lately. I'm sure you've heard about the Grameen Bank. I'm not a Grameen expert, but some reasons why there is controversy sometimes is because movements might gain a lot of popularity very rapidly. That could cause controversy. Also, different organizations that work in microfinance have different goals. There are also different ways to do microfinance. So there is no established way to do it, and maybe that's where the controversy comes from. But we can't avoid it. You have to look, if you're interested in giving to a microfinance organization, there are a lot of factors that come in. Is it for profit? Is it not for profit? Is it how high are the interest rates? What are the interest rates used for? So those are things to consider. And so I want to talk about